Hello, everyone, and this is my review on The Good Nurse, which is one of the movies that Netflix just recently released a couple weeks back. So, as far as my review goes for this movie, I think the storyline was very well done, and with that, it's about a ICU nurse who meets an individual, and she kind of starts to once that individual starts working at her hospital, she starts to think there's something weird going on, just because there's a lot of more emergencies. There's a lot of more codings, and by codings, what I mean is people actually coding at the hospital. So if you don't know what that is, it's usually when someone's heart or they don't breathe, and so an emergency response team has to come over and try to help that individual. This is very common within the ICU space within the hospital. ICU stands for Intensive Critical Care Unit, ICU. So the movie's about an ICU nurse and a new individual starts working there, and they become friends. But she does start noticing that when that new individual starts working there, there's a lot more codes. There's a lot more people actually passing away. And the crazy thing is how this guy was actually able to do it. So I'm not going to go into any spoilers, but if you're a nurse or a medical professional or a healthcare worker, I do think that The Good Nurse is a really, really eye-opening video to watch because of that movie. It's actually based on a true story, and this story happened, I'd say, less than 10 years ago, and it's actually caused some changes within hospitals in which they're a lot more careful when it comes to what they give their patients and such. So with The Good Nurse from Netflix, it features two very good actors. One of their names, it's the main character from Fantastic Beasts, and the other character is the main character from another movie called Molly's Game. Both phenomenal acting performances. The movie's about 2 hours long. I actually would give it probably a 8 out of 10 in terms of 10 being a really, really good movie and 0 being a very, very bad movie. But even so, the movie kept my attention the entire time. The genre of the movie is suspense, thriller / drama. There's no scary or horror, so if you're into that, this may not be the movie type for you. But also, if you're not into that, this movie is for you. But even so, The Good Nurse, it's a fantastic movie. I'll rate it 8 out of 10. Was just released this year from Netflix Studios themselves. And if you're a nurse or healthcare professional worker, I do imagine that you're going to really like this movie just because it relates to the hospital setting quite well. So I was actually watching this movie with my individual family members, and they were saying like how crazy it is, that how accurate the movie actually is when it comes to the real world setting of working as a healthcare worker, working as a nurse. So with that, this movie has a lot of solid points when it comes to what the actual healthcare workers go into when they're working in the real life hospital setting. And it's a scary thing, and you'll see why it's a scary thing. But it's not as scary in terms of supernatural or horror, but it's more of a scary thing that this could actually happen in real life. So again, the plot or synopsis for the story is that an individual meets another individual who starts working at her hospital. They become friends, and then she starts to think something suspicious of him just because once he started working there, there's a lot more codes, there's a lot more heart attacks, there's a lot more people passing away. Even the main character's own patients, they start passing away. So she starts to think, how is this possible? What is happening? And then an investigation eventually occurs. But it's a really, really weird thing to actually know that this actually did happen in real life. And it caused quite a change within the hospital setting as to what healthcare professionals have access to what, or who has access to what medicines, or who has access to what medical equipment. I think because of this was based on a real story, they've really gone into detail as to what restrictions and security measures should actually take place when it comes to working in a hospital and protecting the health of actual patients and the actual workers themselves. So it's a really cool movie. It's based on a true story. That individual, the main character in the movie, is actually still alive. And at the ending credits, they actually even informed me that she actually lives in Florida and is still a good nurse. So that's probably why the movie's called The Good Nurse. But I recommend watching it. It's got an 8 out of 10 in my opinion. It's about 2 hours long. Fantastic. It's a great family. It's appropriate for family of all ages, but for younger people, it may actually be hard to understand. But even so, for younger adults, people looking to get in the medical field, people who are already working in the medical field, I think it's a fantastic movie to watch. I do recommend it.